Back this week with another brand that I thought had gone, but they're back. Keep watching. Yeah, hello, welcome back. It's GotAUkulele review day. As ever, it's the summary video review to the full written review that I've got written on the website. You'll find linked below each of these review videos. Also, another bunch of links down there where you can help this site keep going, because I'm not a commercial enterprise. These are not paid for adverts, and it continues going thanks to these very kind donations from people who support the site that allow it to keep going. I say this every week. I'm just being very courteous because honestly I can't do it without you people. And you can also help me out by subscribing to the YouTube channel, and if you hit the bell symbol you'll get notified of new stuff coming your way too. Before we get into the review, a quick thank you to the Belfast Ukulele Festival and to UKtees, who I've talked about before, who've made their official festival t-shirts, taking place on the 16th to the 18th of August in Belfast city centre. One of my favourite cities, Belfast. I absolutely adore the place. What a great design. I love this t-shirt. Thanks very much to UKtees for sending it over. That's a festival I'd like to try and get to if I wasn't away for my summer holidays, I'm afraid. But 1 year, great city. Okay, the introduction. This is a brand I've looked at many times over the years. It's a USA brand, handmade stuff by a cabinet maker called Pete Mai in Minnesota. The brand is called Bonanza. The last one I looked at theirs was a couple of years ago now. It was the Oak Ridge. Absolutely wonderful instrument that was. Pete's instruments I always like looking at. And then very sadly I saw that he was hanging his boots up and stopping. And it turned out that part of that was because he needed surgery on, I think, cataracts on his eyes, which should be straightforward, but it turned out that the surgery had some complications. His recovery period was much longer than it should have been, and in fact, very, very worryingly, he tells me that he didn't even know whether he was going to be able to carry on at all because he couldn't see. That's devastating, but he has improved, and for now, Bonanza are back, and they've put this new model out called the Bonanza Millennium series. Called the Millennium because it marks the 1000th instrument that he'd made. This one is 1037. So there we are, the Millennium series, available in tenor and baritone. What I'll say about Bonanza, if you don't know already, is they are always quirky, weird. I look at them, they arrive, and he uses build techniques that makes me think, that's never going to work. Just go back through my Bonanza reviews because they always work. I don't know what he's doing. You look at it and think, that's just not going to work, but they do. And the other thing I like about Bonanza ukuleles is with each one that comes over that I see, he's added in another design feature. He's constantly developing what he's doing. So whilst this one has a lot of hallmarks of Bonanzas that you've seen before, there's also something very new to it as well. So I've got to get into the construction, very different to a normal ukulele review. They always are with Bonanza. Okay, double bout shape, available in tenor and baritone, and also available in one or two other shapes as well. But this is the double bout with the sloping shoulder cutaway up at the top. All solid woods, and in the same way as other Bonanzas that Pete has made, going back to the Oreo, what he's done is this is a clamshell design where you have a solid block on the top, a solid block on the back. He routes them out internally with integral braces, sticks them together to create the thin line clamshell. So there's nothing new there, but what is new here is that the body, the top piece, the top half of the clamshell is integral to the neck. So this is all one piece now, so it's a through neck. There is no neck joint. That's a first for Bonanza. Reminds me of those through neck basses, particularly with these stripes, which we will now come on to. These are available in a variety of woods. In this example, he's made it from the pale wood, which is aspen, and the darker stripes, which look absolutely fantastic, is black walnut. So they run all the way through the top, and then he's matched them on the back piece, which, as I say, is a separate piece. This is a block of wood routed out, stuck on to create the resonant little clamshell design. These go faster stripes, I think, absolutely stunning to look at. As I say, available in other woods as well, but I'd go with this one. There's something about that. Very, very different, very, very striking. Wow, wow, wow. I absolutely love the look of that. The pale and the dark of the wood looks really good. The bridge is the same sort of style that Pete's used before, which is a through bridge made of walnut. He etches these little star shapes onto the holes where the strings go through. You push the strings through, pull them out the sound hole, tie a knot, pull them back. And in that slot is a straight topped Corian saddle, which he's also used before. There is no other decoration to it. Why would you need more decoration on this one? Because these stripes are the decoration in these solid blocks. But Pete does also allow you to choose engravings and etchings if you want. He's very, very amenable to all sorts of things. So if you wanted this engraved on the back, you wanted your face on it, something like that, you could. But this is just right for me. I would have it quite nice and simple. Finished in a rubbed satin finish. What I'll say, as I always say about Luthi built instruments, and I've said about Bonanza before, if you want absolute mirror finish that you'd get from a Chinese factory, you're not going to want one of these. But because there are tooling marks here and there, you can see where it's been hand finished and hand rubbed back, and there are little sort of holes in the wood and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me in the slightest, because it shows me that it's been made by hand as opposed to made by a robot on a factory line in the Far East. That's the same for a lot of luthier instruments, and I don't mind that at all. Inside is very interesting. Have a look on the website for some pictures of what I'm going to describe. As I say, Pete, in the routing out of the chamber, leaves the braces in place. So they're not applied braces, they're actually part of the instrument. What he's gone with this one is something called falcate bracing, which rather than using the regular straight braces that you get on a regular ukulele, they are curved braces. The theory being with curves are stronger than straight lines, so you can get away with smaller braces for the same strength and rigidity. It's an Australian luthier's technique, I believe, falcate bracing. I don't know much about what falcate's going to do to tone, and with these not being applied braces rather than part of the body, I'm not entirely sure that's going to do anything either, but it's fun. Have a look at the pictures inside and you'll see what it looks like inside. You'll also look at this one and think, well, that top looks quite thick. It isn't, because that's also part of the etching. There's a strengthened ring around the outside of the sound hole. The rest of the body is incredibly thin. I like that. Moving on, as I say, the neck is a natural extension up from the top half of the body, made from, and because of that, it's got the same stripe in it of the black walnut and the aspen sides, which runs all the way through, front and back, and I think looks absolutely wonderful. The neck profile on this one feels a little bit different to other Bonanzas. Kind of got a feel of Magic Fluke type necks, kind of a slightly squared off, not rounded and chunky, but I love the feel of those necks. Really suit my hand very well. And flattened off on the back at the nut, and a really roomy 40mm nut, 31 from G to A, which is really, really roomy. Like that a lot. The fingerboard, more walnut, in pretty good condition. 18 frets with 14 to the body. Some of the fret dressing, the polishing is a bit scruffy, Pete. I'm sorry, I have to point that out, and I'm sorry if that's really offensive, because I know you're struggling with your eyesight, but I noticed it. It'd be wrong of me not to. But as I say, handmade instruments, so you don't get absolute perfection with these things. They are little skinny bar frets, really like that, and he uses what he calls his self-healing fingerboard. That's to say that the frets are fitted into slots. They don't reach the end of the fretboard. They're in their own little individual slots, so you don't need binding because they don't reach the end. And because of that, absolutely no sharp fret ends whatsoever. The position markers are cool. 5, 7, 10, double 12th and the 15th. They're offsets, which also mimic double as side markers, which is great. Bonanza aren't the first to do this. It's a nice touch, though. I really like it. That's all pretty good. As I say, a bit scruffy on the finishing on the frets and some tooling marks on the body. This isn't interesting. Don't know what this is above the Corian nut. Kind of a little wooden inlay there. Looks nice. And in the headstock, which is always pretty simple and squared off for Bonanza, holding the Bonanza logo at the top, you get the run through of the aspen, because it is all just that one block, and that's rather nice as well. Tuners, Pete gives you a choice of these. He's used these before. These are De Young sealed gears. I think I prefer open gears rather than these, which are kind of guitar tuners, but you know, it's a tenor, so they carry them okay. They work all right as well. And it comes with a set of Seaguar strings on the first to the third and a wound low G. I'm not a wound low G person myself, but I never change ukulele scores based on strings because they're easy to change. I wouldn't specify this with the low G, and that's great with Pete because you can specify what you want. And this one also comes, as you can see, with a couple of strap buttons. Other options are available, like getting a pickup fitted, or getting a hard case, or getting those engravings that I talked about, or different wood choices. So there's always lots of options with Pete and Bonanza. One thing that has changed is the price. This is $699 in this spec. Now, I've got to be very careful because I don't like doing handmade luthiers down of their trade. I mean, it's actually a bargain when you think about the man hours that go into making these things. Cost of living has gone up, cost of materials has gone up, cost of energy has gone up, cost of everything's gone up in the West. So that's having an impact. He also points out this is a lot more complicated to make, and I can see why. He's not just starting with one block of wood. He's got to sandwich all this together and get it to match up, as he's done so well. So there's more work there as well. But that's quite the leap from the prices on the homesteads and the Oak Ridge and stuff like that. Bonanza's tended to be, I'll take a punt with that one. I think this one's a bit more serious, but then it's a bit more of a serious looking instrument, isn't it? I absolutely love the look of it, and I'm so glad Pete's back. Yeah, there's some little luthier's imperfections in it, and a bit of finishing that needs to be tidied up, but it's a handmade instrument made in the USA, you know. It's not a big brand name thing. It's incredibly light, 560 grams, because it's so thin. Balance is okay, dips back a little bit towards, but not too much, but really comfortable to hold because it's a thin line. People were asking me whether this was a travel instrument. No, I don't think it's a travel instrument, it's just a thin instrument, you know. So I've always said, quirky builder, quirky build styles. I always think, how's that going to work? They always do work. Some of them remarkably well. I don't think he's going to fail with this one. I've been playing it. I just do this for effect on the video. How's it going to sound? I know how it's going to sound. I've been playing it all morning and yesterday. Okay, so the volume. Where's that coming from? Where is that coming from? Oh my word, that's a loud instrument. Oh, and the sustain and vibration here in my chest, on my lower forearm. That sustain's pretty good. I know we've got a low G, but even they're sustaining pretty decent. It's a bright tone, probably a bit brighter for a tenor than I would like, and I wonder whether different wood choices might change that up, or even a string change. This is so roomy. I can't complain about that, can I? If I get the playing wrong on this, it's purely down to me. It usually is. Did mess it up. Bouncy, peppy, jangly, very, very clear. Yeah, okay. As I say, more on the bright side than not, which I'd rather a bit woodier. But I know many of you like that. But you know, that is peppy and bouncy to play. Finger picking is going to be nice because of the room on this fingerboard. It's quite soft. Said this before about Bonanzas, they're kind of like a porch picker. Sit back on a nice seat on the porch, on the veranda, in your garden. I really don't know where all that noise is coming from because there's so little of it. You look at the build construction, look at the photographs on the site. It's chunky stuff. It's all routed out, chunky sides. You know, those braces are integral. It's not a tuned top with applied braces. So, as I keep repeating, I look at it and think, it's not going to work. But it really does. They always do. It probably doesn't get quite the high scores that some Bonanzas have got because it's dragged down a bit on the scoring just because of the way my scoring works, because I can't avoid that price, thinking it's a little bit too much. I know there's more work gone into it, and I know costs of production and materials have gone up as well, but what do I know? But I'm in love with the look of that. I mean, it's just so different, so funky, so... It does remind me of those bases, and so who made those? Answers on a postcard, answers in the comments. I think you know what I mean, with these stripes that run all the way through. It is just a really fun looking instrument. I'm so glad Pete is carrying on for now with these. It probably won't be forever he's building, but now's your chance to try and grab one. The Bonanza Millennium series tenor. All solid aspen and black walnut clamshell construction with an integral neck. Available in other woods and some other options as well. $6.99. Made in Minnesota in the USA. Not on a production line in the Far East. Absolutely homegrown USA craftsman stuff. The Millennium. Pete, thank you very much for sending this one over to me. And the buyer who's bought this isn't mine. This is now going shipping on to somebody who's bought it in the UK. And I've been lucky enough to sort of have it halfway through its journey. So glad to have Bonanza back on the site again. It's a cracker. Really enjoyed that. Right, thank you very much for watching. I know a lot of people have been intrigued about that one coming forward, and a lot of people like Bonanza stuff, so it's quite an easy one for me to review, even if I am trying to be as objective as I can. I'm rambling, aren't I? Right, thank you very much for watching and your ongoing support. Yeah, as I said last week, it's just sort of all systems go now for quite a few instruments that are coming. More are arriving next week. I've got next week's slated. It's one I've been wanting to look at for a while. No more clues than that. Keep an eye out for the sneak peeks on the socials in the week ahead. I hope you have a good week. Look after each other. Take care. See you very soon. Bye-bye.